Hello everyone and welcome to WGBS TV Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. My name is Steve Eunice. In this, our May 15th show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including the sad news of the death of Margot Kidder. We're going to be talking about rumours about A Man of Steel 2, and we're going to be talking comic books, Krypton, Supergirl, and so much more. We're going to be turning to you to take your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you'd like to discuss, and to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved. Let me introduce you to my co-host, Michael Bailey. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Steve. Now, if you're watching this live, you're either doing it via our Facebook page or directly on our website. Seeing as how we're beaming this live across the internet and therefore around the planet Houston, we'd love to hear from Superman fans right around the world. So to call in and talk to us tonight, you'll need to open Skype, search for Superman Homepage, and send us a message saying you'd like to chat with us live tonight, and we'll try to get to you on the second half hour of our show.
Yes, and don't forget, as always, there is, for everyone watching via Facebook, directly beneath the video, across down the bottom there, you can type your comments and react to things that we're saying, and Michael and I will keep an eye on that area of the Facebook feed so we can react to your comments and questions as the show goes on. So we'd love to hear from you as the next hour progresses. And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Tina Murray, Patrick O'Neill, Stephen Wright and Henry Bernstein. We appreciate your support. Well, Mike, how's your week been? What's been happening in the Bailey household this week?
Apparently my DVR decided I don't want to record Supergirl anymore. So when we went to watch it tonight, like we usually do, it just did not record. So I have missed out on everything this past week. Oh,
bummer. That's a shame. So we won't be able to talk about the latest episode with you. You won't be able to comment on what's happened. I've just come off watching it on my DVR. Just watched it now, and excited to talk about it because there's a few things that would be of interest for the fans to have a chat about. But we will start with movie stuff, that like we usually do, and it was with very great sadness that I woke up yesterday morning. My wife woke me up telling me that Margot Kidder had passed away, and quickly jumped on my phone and saw all the reactions and all the reports. She supposedly passed away in her sleep, or was peacefully passed away, and she was only 69, so not very old for someone to just kind of pass away in their sleep. It's very sad.
Yeah, I was at work. And all of a sudden, every once in a while I check Facebook and Twitter, and right before I could see anything, somebody messaged me, I forget who, and suddenly for the rest of the day, that was all that was pretty much on my feed, was people posting memorials and, sharing articles about her passing away. And, the thing that kind of made me more sad is that her family is being affected by this. We all loved her as Lois Lane, but these people knew her as mom, or any other type of relative or friend that you can think of. But it's been kind of heartening seeing all of the outpouring of love and appreciation for her, not just as Lois Lane, but as a person. Yes. And as an actress. So, it made me sad, but, just in that general sense of, wow, we've lost another person who was associated with Superman the movie.
Yeah, it is very sad news, and our thoughts and prayers do go out to her family and friends and those closest to her. And it was heartwarming to see all the outpouring of emotions and memories of Margot Kidder from across the internet, from Warner Brothers and DC Comics themselves, to people who worked with her, like Sarah Douglas, and some of the comic book people. Brandon Routh, I saw, posted a message. Jeff Johns, and others have had interactions with her over the past. So very sad news to hear of the passing of Margot Kidder, who was at the Superman celebration 2017, so just last year I believe she was there. So she was well received there and well loved by everyone who was in attendance. And while I hadn't met her in person, I had had correspondence with her through the internet, and by all accounts she was just a lovely person to meet, and always made you feel special. She wasn't my favourite Lois Lane, I have to admit. I enjoyed her role in the movie alongside Christopher Reeve, but she wasn't necessarily my favourite of the Lois Lanes out there, but she embraced the role and embraced the fans as far as being not kind of pushing that aside as just a role she played, but she really embraced the fact that she had a legacy there.
Yeah, and she participated in things beyond just the 4 Superman films. She was on Smallville and seemed to actually be kind of annoyed at the fact that she was brought in to basically announce Dr. Swan's death, which she felt a little exploitive. But you're right, she was somebody that just especially in the 2000s, just every interview, it was just nothing but glowing praise for most of the people associated with the movie. She wasn't, it's weird to say because, somebody's just passed away by saying, she wasn't my favorite Lois Lane either, but that doesn't mean that she wasn't good in the role.
Oh, no.
It doesn't mean she wasn't important. It just means that, I think for a lot of people, she was the only Lois Lane, like for an entire generation.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of people, all they're familiar with are the movies.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are people that are a little younger than us that might think Terry Hatcher.
Yep.
And people even younger than that would think Erica Durance.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't think anybody's going to think of the one from Superman Returns, but, that's just because she was only in one film. But, or Dana Delaney, but, it doesn't take away from her legacy. And, it's just kind of sad that she did pass away so young. I mean, 69 is not, in this day and age, an extremely old age. I mean, it's not super young, but it's, people are living into their 90s. But she had, a hard life, and she had some problems with mental illness that she was very upfront about, and I think that gave people strength too, much like Christopher Reeve, becoming a hero to a certain extent because of his work after his accident. I think she was very outspoken about her own problems. So, just kind of a heartbreaking thing all around.
Yeah, there was obviously some horrible remarks about her mental illness and her battle with all that, and how she was found and all the kind of things that happened at the time. But the fact that she confronted that and came out and was an advocate for mental health and made it something that people could talk about rather than something that people joked or ridiculed people for, she brought mental illness to the forefront as a discussion topic that wasn't something to be ridiculed or looked down upon, but rather something to be dealt with and taken seriously, and not a taboo subject. It became something that other people were going, to where we are now in this day and age, where we have, so much talk about mental illness and really taking the stigma away from that topic.
Yeah, and I mean, let that, in addition to being Lois Lane, be her legacy. Something that's beyond just a role that means something to us, something that means to a larger, to the world at large, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And so we pay tribute to Margot Kidder on this episode, and as we said, our thoughts and prayers are to her family and friends who were left behind, who mourn her loss. But let's push on and continue with other movie news, where we discuss things that have been happening, some of the rumours, some of the interviews that have been going on around about the world of Superman, with Henry Cavill having participated in an interview with Empire magazine. I believe the latest issue of the magazine with that interview is out now, or will be out this week. And he speaks to the Justice League movie, and a few things he discusses. First off, he talks about the marketing to him, which was, and I agree with him, the ridiculous marketing campaign to exclude Superman from all the promotional material for Justice League, and where everyone kind of knew he was going to be in the movie. I mean, why is he doing all these press tours and being on stage with the other actors if he's not in this movie? It was kind of silly to keep Superman out of the marketing material, and yet in the very first minute of the film, there he is. So he spoke to that, and said that he was surprised at it a little bit, and he said that he thought it was faintly ridiculous. He said, if I'm not in the movie, what am I doing on the press tour? Obviously he knew, and that was a different little tap dance. We danced together, but for the audience, I wanted to leave some mystery. I think it's important to have some mystery in movies these days, but nevertheless, I think everyone pretty much knew Superman was going to be in this movie.
Yeah, and that's something that we kind of talked about in the lead up of the film too. That I understand that from a standpoint of wanting to keep how he returns a mystery, is something that you kind of want to do with the movie, because you don't want to reveal everything. But the fact that they had all the images of him part of it before, after the film, means that they had that stuff at the ready. So I think at that point, if your concern is that, you want to have some mystery of it, I think having him in it's just like, wait a second, I thought Superman was dead. What's going on here? So the question does become, is he coming back? But how? And you play that up. And it's just, it seemed to me that when they were everything that they were trying to push for this film was just those 5 characters. And I'm wondering, like we said when the movie came out on Blu-ray and did so phenomenal in the home video market, I'm wondering if it's because people knew Superman was in it and were like, oh, okay, so he is in it. I'll go see that now, or I'll pick that up. So I totally understand where he's coming from on that.
Yeah, and as people were saying, he was in the movie posters and some of the silhouettes and things like that. And I guess from that perspective, it was like the Justice League is forming because of the spirit of Superman and what the legacy they left behind. So from that standpoint, there was Superman's imagery involved in the posters and that. But to think that he wasn't in the movie, I think they did themselves a disservice because of the pull that Superman brings to that team dynamic, and that he people wanted to see him in the movie. So I guess it was one of those missteps that sometimes you think it's a good idea at the time, and then later on maybe look back and think, yeah, maybe it was probably a little bit silly.
Yeah, exactly.
People are asking about your dog, Michael. What breed is it?
Her name is Gracie. She is a poodle, and she has been extra clingy to me today. So it's either have her in my lap and rub her as I talk to you, and I can focus on both at once, or she sits there and barks outside the door. It's summertime, or it's getting to be, it's basically summertime. We're in the 80s and 90s already here. So, but during the winter, she usually wears her Superman shirt, so she just can't sport that right now.
Very cool. All right, back to Henry Cavill. He also spoke to the moustache, and there's been all that drama, and we've had been on it over a million and one times. But one of the interesting things that he revealed in this interview was that he was surprised at the extent and how extensive the reshoots were for Justice League, and explains that he's already moved on to another movie. He wasn't expecting to have to come back and do such extensive shoots for Justice League, and so his look had already changed for the Mission Impossible Fallout movie that he's involved with, where you'll see with the trailer coming out today or tomorrow for that movie just why having a fake moustache wouldn't work for that film. And therefore there was that whole digital fiasco about removing his facial hair for the role of Superman in Justice League. But Yeah, extensive reshoots. We knew that there were reshoots, and we can see that in the film when we look for the parts where the CGI was done on his face. But I guess, it just adds to fuel to the fire about the Zack Snyder cut that people keep wanting to see.
Yeah, it's just, I saw the trailer for the first trailer for the Mission Impossible, the next Mission Impossible, Fallout?
Yep, that's right.
I think you just said that. Sorry, I can't keep track of all the different
6 anyway.
Mission Impossible films. I'm sorry. But one of the things about it is that he looks, there's not a whole lot of him in that first trailer, but, he looks really good in it. If I see the movie, it's probably going to be because of him, and not so much of Mission Impossible, which I haven't seen any of them since the first one. But, for an actor, it's got to be kind of frustrating, I guess is the best word to say, for, you commit to a role, and he, seriously committed to Superman every time he played him. So you've shot all your scenes, you've done everything in this very physically intensive role, and then you move on to another physically intensive role where you kind of change your look for that role. Superman's not going to look the same way as the character he plays in Fallout. So to have to come back and do as much as he did, one, I think shows a real level of professionalism among all of the stars that came back. And two, I'm starting to get the sense that Henry I say Henry like I know him, but that Henry is really getting jerked around in this role, because he has his first movie, and, problems aside, he was amazing in it. And then, instead of getting a second movie to further explore this character that he's helping to create, there's all this hubbub about Batman being in it.
Right.
And then with Justice League, you're further sharing the limelight and having to come back from the dead. So then, after you do all that, it's just like, no, you got to come back and do all the reshoots. Now, Glenn in the Flash chat, wants to blame Joss Whedon for that. To be fair, I think the studio wanted the reshoots as well. I don't think Joss Whedon has pull enough. I mean, he's a popular director, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he has the pull enough to demand reshoots. I think he came on and they did another look at the script, changed significant things about it, and had to do all the reshoots to accommodate that. And what this speaks to is not a problem with Joss Whedon or the writers or Henry Cavill, but basically at the fact that Warner Brothers has never had their act together with these films. And that's all there on the screen. When you look at what's right, it seems like every time something's good, the people had to fight for it, and they're just willing to let this thing kind of go off willy-nilly and not have a plan, and then say, oh, we don't have a plan because that's our strategy. But how is that working out for you?
Yeah, good points. And people talking in the comments about the fact that Man of Steel 2 is well overdue, and you're talking about the fact that he hasn't got to have a second solo film as Superman, and there's some rumours going around about, again, this one from the new episode of El Fanboy podcast, where they claim to have sources within Warner Brothers who say they want a sequel to hit theaters in 2020. Now, you take this with a grain of salt, because rumor is just a rumor. We don't know what their sources are. They could be just trying to get some extra hits to their podcasts or whatever, but it's done the rounds, this rumor, more than just any other rumor. And Henry Cavill has been in talks, or has been telling people in interviews that he's talking to people who are trying to get things moving, and that he really wants to do another Superman movie and wants to be, there's more stories to tell with this character, especially now regarding where he's placed, having come off of Justice League and where the character is at now. I think we could really see a great Superman movie with this lighter tone, this more brighter, hopeful, optimistic version of the character that has come back from the dead. So I hope these rumors are true.
Yeah, and like you said, take it with a grain of salt, because it was a podcast, and I'm not insulting podcasts, obviously, because I do way too many of them to do so. That would be kind of hypocritical. But maybe they did hear from somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. But until there is an official announcement, until a director is in place, until shooting starts, and even maybe until the first teaser trailer, I'm not going to believe it until it happens. Because it's such a weird situation they're in. They have this momentum for a character that has been doing well recently, and especially in the comics now, you've got one great run in set of creators leaving and a superstar coming on. That this seems to be the time to kind of jump on that and make it work. But movie studios rarely seem to work within how the real world works. So I'm not counting my chickens on this one.
Yeah, exactly. We'll watch this space, as they say.
Yeah.
All right, well, pushing on with other movie news. In the animated movie news front, we have the trailer debuted on IGN for the Death of Superman animated movie, part 1 of a 2-part animated film, which comes out August 7th. Let's check out that trailer right now.
Hold on, Lex. I'm picking up something.
Does that asteroid look unusual to you? I got the alert. What's up?
Initial reports are some kind of creature.
If anyone's watching this, send help. This monster's killing everyone.
Alert. 3 leaguers down and we only just got here. Need backup now.
This creature has not been identified and is rumored to have left members of the Justice League wounded or near death.
There's one thing I can't stand. It's a bully. We need you, Clark.
Don't hold back, or he'll kill everyone.
I don't know where you came from, but I'm sending you back.
You can't go back after that thing. It's suicide.
I have to get back to work. This city needs me.
You think it might kill Superman?
It would save me a lot of trouble.
Yeah, look for the Blu-ray DVD out August 7th. I published an article in the newsletter that I sent out, the Big Blue Report, yesterday, and pretty much responding to the 3 big questions that everybody's had about this animated movie. One is, why is it set in the New 52 universe that's already been established in the DC universe? Why not just do a standalone film that is true, as I keep saying, more of a true adaptation of the comic book story that they're trying to tell, like they did with All-Star Superman or any of the other animated movies that they did that was specific to the style of the comic book that they're adapting in animated form. I guess they just wanted to continue on the story that they've been telling so far in this universe.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, they've built a brand around this. I mean, it's not like after Justice League War, they didn't tell any New 52 style stories. And I get the feeling that these movies are planned out years in advance. So it's entirely possible that they had these movies on the slate even before Rebirth happened. So it makes sense at that point that you would continue with the style that you have been using, and you use the Justice League you have. You know, yes, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, you know, Green Lantern, none of these characters fought Doomsday in the original, but in this reality, they are. So it's going to be truer to the spirit of the comic, but I get the feeling people just want a straight-up adaptation.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I own so many versions of this in collected edition. It's probably, I think an intervention is in order. It really is. I mean, I have 2 omnibuses. I've got a version from England. I mean, it's just, I've got the platinum version of the first trade that was released through, that Diamond gave out to people. I mean, so it's not like, you know, this is coming from somebody that's just a fair weather fan of this story. But all the things you would have to explain, like the moment Doomsday punches Supergirl and she goes protoplasm, there are going to be people like,
what?
I see Melissa Benoist on TV every week. She ain't protoplasm. What's this all about? So you gotta have to make allowances for adaptations, and as long as it's good, and as you know, the thing that struck me about this is that this entire trailer was about the battle, and that was like the first 20 minutes of the one that came out in 2007. So if they're going to focus on Superman's sacrifice and end on a really emotional high leading into the next film where we have the reign of the Supermen, then I think that's mission accomplished.
And I guess the other big question, which people are already commenting on in the comments below the video here, is what about the relationship? Is Superman with Lois or Superman with Wonder Woman? Like, they didn't, like, you know, in this universe has been established he's with Wonder Woman, but this appears to be him with Lois. So what's going on there? How is that going to be explained? I guess we'll have to wait and see in the movie if that is explained.
You need 5 minutes for that, if that.
But they do need to address it, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I agree that they need to address it, but have it just be one of those things where it's addressed as in, I was with her, now I'm with you. And
move on,
as it should be, and just move on with it. And actually, if you have that as something, as an emotional underpinning of the film, then it adds another layer of drama to it, because not only is Wonder Woman fighting alongside Superman, but it's just like, okay, this is my ex-boyfriend, essentially, which is, you know, I'm not a big fan of the romantic entanglements anyways. You know, I like a good romance, but I don't need CW level drama here.
Sure.
But it might, you know, it might add something to the film.
Yeah, 100%. Well, the emotional connection with Lois had a major impact in the comic book story, and the fact that she was left there grieving, holding his body at the end was, you know, what really hit you when you were reading that story. So it's definitely a part of the story. And the other thing is the costume. You know, people are saying, you know, with the new 52 look, and I think we've said it here, maybe upon the return, maybe in the second film, when he comes back out of the black costume, if they do the recovery suit and everything, that his big ending will be him in the more classic costume of the Rebirth or, you know, current classic red trunks look or whatever it might be, and not necessarily the high-collared, you know, new 52 look.
Collars for everybody. I just want it to be good. I've really gotten beyond this idea that everything has to line up with what I want out of a Superman movie, because I have long accepted the fact that I'm never going to see that. And, you know, this is a story that has been in print for over 25 years now. The fact that they're releasing it in August is kind of neat, because then you're coming up on the 25th anniversary of when he came back, or when Reign of the Superman ended. So you have that going for it as well. So it's not like this is, you know, that this story isn't considered a classic. But these animated films, to me, when they go too slavish to the source material, it's kind of boring. because that story has already been told. Dark Knight Returns as an animated film, really cool to see, but in a lot of cases, it was just animated comic book. Where maybe with this movie, they can kind of explore in a modern context what the death of Superman really means.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you there. So we look forward to it. It's released August 7th, Blu-ray, 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, DVD, and digital as well. And then the Reign of the Superman Part 2 of this story is set to drop in early 2019, so early next year. So we have that to look forward to. And speaking of animated movies, Warner Brothers Home Entertainment announced there is another Lego DC Comics superhero animated movie coming. It is Aquaman Rage of Atlantis, which does involve Superman and the rest of the Justice League in Lego form. They did release a trailer for the movie coming out July 31st. Have a look at the trailer right now.
The trouble alert.
Breaking news. Reporting from Area 52 at Dread Lake. We need to get to Dread Lake fast.
Why, that sounds like a job for Aquaman.
A Lego DC Superheroes movie.
All right, Aquajet. We're freshwater bound.
When danger lies beneath the surface.
Atrocitus, leader of the Red Lantern Corps.
Water dwellers, destroy the Justice League.
Apparently, Wonder Woman has been knocked silly.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. There's only one hero to call.
I'll just summon my fellow water creatures here at Dread Lake.
But Dread Lake is a dry lake, Ben.
Well, that would be challenging then, wouldn't it?
Justice is coming.
It's hero time!
Slow-mo hero entrance.
Oh, still plenty of time to get the best part.
By air.
Batman! The Justice League!
We're not done yet.
By land.
5 points for the kid.
And by sea.
The King of Atlantis has returned.
It is time to show them what the Justice League can do.
Mind if I take you for a spin?
Let's move, team.
You have a world to save. For Atlantis!
Lego DC Comics Superheroes Aquaman, Rage of Atlantis. Look for it on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital.
In Lego form. July 31st.
I think it was announced recently that Mara is going to be voiced by Susan Eisenberg in that film, so she gets to dip her toes into another DC character outside of Wonder Woman. That the Lego films are just amusing. You can't get mad at what they do in them because they're just there to be fun. And if Cartoon Network shows some of the Star Wars Lego things all the time, and they don't take anything seriously. So, having this out around the time of the film is just a good idea.
Yeah. And speaking of other the Lego movies, the Lego version of DC Superhero Girls called Supervillain High is out today on Blu-ray and DVD, or might just be DVD, I think. Just on DVD. So if you're into the DC Superhero Girls and into your Lego format of the stories, then that new animated film is out today on DVD. You can get it through the Superman homepage website. There's the news item up for it right now. Alright, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back on the flip side to talk about some of what happened on Krypton, and we're also going to be talking about Supergirl. So we'll be back right after these messages.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman in Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
You can make them fly or jump or crash or walk. Superhero action figures over 7 inches tall.
Each sold separately.
Superman, Batman, Incredible Hulk. You can make them do their thing. Even make Spider-Man slide down a string. Lots of action for one and all. Action figures over 7 inches tall.
These superhero action figures each sold separately. Batman, Superman, Incredible Hulk, and Spider-Man. Each sold separately by Mego.
So you have it, DC and Marvel advertised together.
Yeah, the Mego line is from the 70s when licensing was a little different. You would never see that today. Yeah, actually, you wouldn't even say it in the 80s. But yeah, there was a time where Mego had DC, Marvel, Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, just everything, and they were all the same size. So basically, unlike the 80s, if you had like Secret Wars and Superpowers and Star Wars, they were all the different scale. But in the 70s, you could play with them all at once.
There you go.
There's some really good stuff out there from Mego too. There's a Toy Fair reel that unveils all the figures. That's fun to watch as well.
Cool. And couldn't get over the Hulk breaking through that piece of paper.
It's funny. When you think of the characters you love as an adult from the characters you loved as a kid, Superman, Batman, and the Hulk were all right there in that commercial, and that's my 1, 2, and 3. So it's just like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense now.
And before we move on to TV stuff, there was this great fan animation done by Mike Habjan, who's done Superman versus the Hulk in animated form, 3D animated form. And previously he's done a look at Christopher Reeve in the Man of Steel costume, and now he gives us a look at what his model of Christopher Reeve would have looked like in the Superman Returns costume, which is pretty impressive. I must say, I think I have it somewhere here to play with us. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah. This is yeah, he looks a little disappointed, which I think a lot of us felt for that costume. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the flying there looks amazing.
Yeah, and the fluttering of the cake.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so let's move on to TV stuff. Let's go with Krypton to start off with. I haven't seen Savage Night, which airs actually tomorrow night here in Australia, but that was episode 8 of the first season, and I think you've caught up on Krypton?
No.
No? Okay.
I am terrible. You're going to have to dock my pay, is what it basically comes down to. No, it was just a weird weekend. So sitting down and watching a large bunch of television. But I have Saturday off, and nothing really planned.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully I'll be able to catch up on Supergirl and that, because I can't blame. I wanted to blame my DVR on this one, but I can't. That would be lying.
Okay, well, in this one, resistance movement begins to form to impede the voice of Rao's increasing power and influence, and we do get to see Brainiac in real, form here. So it looks like a cool episode, and waiting for our reviewer to post his review of this episode just away this week. But let's have a look at the trailer for episode 9, which I saw Cameron Cuff, who plays Seg-El on the TV series, say while it is called Hope, he likes to think of it as finale part 1. because he does feel that it's really part of the two-part end of this season. So let's check out the trailer for what is titled Hope, Krypton's upcoming episode.
We're going to get Doomsday.
There's one more secret. You have sealed Krypton's fate.
How long do we have?
Your world is mine.
There you have it, Brainiac in full form in this episode, looking very menacing.
Yeah, I'm really liking the fact that they're able to pull Brainiac off in live action as well as they're doing. So my hope is that when they get to the movie, because they need to do Brainiac in a film, that it'll actually look better than this.
So Seg must decide if he is willing to make the ultimate sacrifice in service of the greater good of Kandor. Titled Hope, this episode will air in the US on Sci-Fi on Wednesday, May 16th at 10 p.m. Eastern and Pacific Time or 9 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you're watching this episode tomorrow night there in the USA. And as I said, we are a week behind here in Australia. But good news for UK fans. They've been waiting patiently for Krypton to air over there in the UK. And Variety reports that E4, the channel E4, has decided to add Krypton to its lineup, with the show scheduled to air later this year. So you don't have to wait too much longer, UK fans. It will be there if you haven't already somehow managed to be watching it online somehow.
I have no idea how UK television works, because, you know, I hear it's like, well, it's going to be on the Sci-Fi. It's like, and I'm like, is that like an international version of Sci-Fi, or is it another channel called Sci-Fi? So cheers that they're getting it, but wow, that's complicated. Yeah, different networks, different. We don't have here in Australia. We don't have the same networks that you guys have in the US. So we've obviously got our free-to-air channels that are available, and then there's different subscription services and cable TV and stuff like that. And we do have a Sci-Fi channel. Australian Sci-Fi channel here, which is obviously a sister channel to the US version, and but depending on what shows they decide to pick up, we don't always get the same shows that are airing there on Sci-Fi in the US, but mostly we get most of the popular shows. I guess it comes down to, you know, market demand. And international rights, you know, yeah. Whether or not they want to kind of basically say that Australia has the right to air the show or not. And I find it frustrating that Sci-Fi's YouTube channels, both Sci-Fi Wire and the Sci-Fi YouTube channel itself, only make their videos available to people, residents in the US. If it's a show, if it's a trailer, you're not putting episodes up there, so why not allow your trailers and your promotional material to be viewed by anybody from around the world? Surely that would just go to increasing your hits on YouTube. Look, in terms of advertisement, unless, again, there's some kind of bizarre copyright or licensing issue, again, you know, Warner Brothers will yank people from using promotional material on their own YouTube site. Why? I mean, I understand you want to control the flow of information. So before Warner Brothers, for example, releases a trailer, I can see how they would want to be the first one to release it. But once that trailer is out there, man, why not have people just play the living shaz out of it and all that, and not get all sensitive about it? I mean, it's not like maybe they're worried that people are making money off of. That's what it is. It's still weird. I get, whenever I post a trailer for Supergirl or Krypton on my YouTube channel to share with our followers, I get a copyright notice that says you're not in any trouble, but you're not allowed to promote, you're not allowed to do any advertising because you put adverts before your YouTube channels or after YouTube videos. And I guess when they knock you on the, slap you on the back of the hand for posting a trailer, say for a movie like, say, Justice League or Batman v Superman or anything like that, it's because they're doing their own advertising or getting their own profits from
their YouTube channel, so they don't want to dilute the water by having other people upload the same video and therefore take away from their earning potential.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, I'm not against people making money off of their intellectual properties. In fact, I completely understand it. You know, and even when you want to trickle down even further, I know a lot of artists who have seen their work basically stolen, for lack, you know, I mean, it's kind of an ugly word, but it's what happened, and you know, it's on bumper stickers and T-shirts and stuff, and they don't see a dime from that. So I can understand wanting to, you know, control that, but I just think if their method is you can't put an ad on it, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
In all honesty, you know,
100%.
you know, you're sharing it, but you're not going to make any money off of it, which, you know, I guess is I think that's well within in bounds, I guess is the best way to say that.
Sure. All right, well, let's move on to Supergirl, and the 18th episode of Season 3 of Supergirl aired this week, both there and here in Australia, and it was titled Shelter from the Storm, and in this episode we saw Rain hunting down Ruby, who is Sam's daughter, and obviously Sam is Rain, so it was like there's that element of wanting to remove any kind of obstacle to Sam's ability to really become and continue to stay as Rain. And I was really interested in this episode. I know you haven't seen it yet, but the way that Supergirl and John arrived at a method of stopping Rain using, you know, Supergirl's that method that she always has of trying to talk them down, of trying to find a psychological reason for what they're doing, and the fact that John's father and his own personal experiences, losing his memory and everything like that, but being able to recall something that was of benefit to them came to the front in this one, was a great way of doing that as well. And we also see a resolution of the whole Mon-El issue of what he's going to do with the Legionnaires heading back to the future. And yes, he's aware that that's a title of a movie.
Well, I'm sure he's seen it. I have no doubt that in the 31st century, people are still quoting Back to the Future.
Undeniably.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watch this, because to me, this season has just been pretty much great from the start, and it's really building on itself. And the fact that, you know, they have taken so many twists and turns, and the fact that, as you know, from hearing you talk about it, that they're involving things that happened in previous episodes with other characters who, I mean, let's be honest, having the actor having Carl Lumbly playing
Mirren.
Mirren, thank you. I can't believe I blanked on his name. That's kind of ironic when you think about it. But having, you know, him play Mirren, that's a stunt. That's Martian Manhunter playing Martian Manhunter's dad. But the fact that they were actually able to make him a character and give him something to do, and now it's affecting the main plot, I think that just shows that the writers are really on top of their game this season.
Indeed. So it's a great episode. Really enjoyed it. Involving parents on both sides of the thing. They've got Jean's dad, and then you've also got Sam's mother, who's played by skipping on her name. I just had it up on the screen. Let me see if I can go back and open that up. Who was a guest star that's been on the show previously, and where is it? Episode, here we go. Shelter from the Storm was the name of the episode, just loading up the page. But as I said, yeah, involving parents. So you got John's father, who was a important element of the story here, and you also had Sam's adopted mother, if you like, who was played by guest star Betty Buckley, appearing as Sam's mother, and you know, her feelings about the fact that, you know, how Sam was brought up, and so that element was quite interesting to see that played off each other, and it was a great episode. I'm looking forward to hearing what you thought of it when you do get to watch it. But people in the comments are saying that they enjoyed it as well, and we have the Legion, all the Legion stuff happening with Brainiac 5, and just them heading back to the future, and seeing what that will all play out like, and if Mon-El will definitely be staying behind or whether or not he'll go with them. It's all very interesting as we head to the final, what have we got, I think 4 episodes left. And speaking of upcoming episode, here is the trailer for episode 19, which is titled The Fanatical. Check it out.
Your secret identity is there to protect people.
They're gonna tell National City I'm Guardian.
Raising the belly of the beast. There were days where I really had sleep, but I had to work more than compensation.
Hold up, you're a Guardian?
Try to keep it on the low.
Let's go.
Safety first.
Supergirl, all new episode Monday at 8, 7 Central on the CW.
So there you have it. That is the trailer for the upcoming episode. And yeah, Guardian and James's role and his relationship with Lena, and Lena's thoughts on Supergirl, and her revealing what she really thinks of Supergirl to Kara was quite an interesting element of the last night's episode, or this week's episode, and it's really all coming to a head.
Yeah, if Lena turns heel, to use a wrestling term, I think I could actually make her to be like a really good villain. I like Lena, I like their friendship, but I think what Smallville proved is that you can have several seasons where Lex and Clark are friends, but that only makes when Mom and Dad are fighting even that much more that much more dramatic when it happens.
Yeah. So looking forward to next week's episode titled The Fanatical, which is all about Cavill's disciples and secrets that he might have there that might help Supergirl defeat Reign. That will air on Monday, May 21st there in the US on the CW. So and Tuesday here in Australia on Fox 8. So looking forward to that. All right, we do have a description for the 20th episode of Supergirl, which is titled Dark Side of the Moon. And it reads as thusly: Supergirl is stunned to discover that a part of Krypton survived. Meanwhile, Alex is attacked while out with Ruby, and Lena considers how far she will go to keep Reign contained. Looking forward to seeing what happens there with a part of Krypton having survived.
Sorry, when you say Dark Side of the Moon, it has me going in another direction. But having it end on a new Krypton type finale, since they know they got a 4th season, that might be a little interesting.
Yeah, yep, indeed. So we do have a month worth of episodes left to go, with the finale airing on June 18th, which John Patrick Van Pelt reminds us in the chat room we've announced earlier. So a 4 or 5 week run of episodes headed our way as we continue towards the end of season 3, with the show having already been announced as with a 4th season coming. And Tina's asking if you're referring to Pink Floyd, Michael.
Yeah, well, actually, I was referring to Apocalypse. But,
okay.
But why not? Maybe if you put on Dark Side of the Moon right at the beginning of the episode, it lines up perfectly until it turns to color.
Yeah, you never know. All right, well, on the comic book side of things, I posted this because I knew you would be interested in, even though I couldn't really watch it unless I did some technical fandangling around watching Sci-Fi Wire's videos on YouTube, but an interview with John Byrne, who, as you know, and obviously you out of many people would know, that DC Comics hired him in the 1980s to revamp Superman, reboot the series with the Man of Steel miniseries. And they asked him in this interview on video what his favourite story that he wrote was from his run writing the character. Did you watch this video, Michael?
I watched part of it. It's kind of hard because for years I have been told that he doesn't do interviews about old material, and I guess maybe Sci-Fi Wire is big. And I kind of saw the ending where he basically says that he if he had to do it over again, he just wouldn't, which is kind of depressing. But no, what was his favorite story that he wrote?
Well, his favorite story that he wrote was the Lex Luthor story with the waitress.
Oh, Metropolis 900 Miles. You want to talk about freaking out a 11-year-old kid. I vividly remember reading that for the first time. I bought it fresh off the stands because I had just started reading the books. And just this horrible story of him dangling this indecent proposal in front of this waitress, and then he doesn't even stick around, so that for the rest of her life she will wonder what she did. She comes back right around the time he got elected president, or when he was running for president. She tries to shoot him, and she's still wearing the same waitress uniform, which is kind of funny. But no, it's just, I am not surprised. That is one of the best Lex Luthor stories ever.
Well, let's have a look at or listen to what he had to say.
Yes, and it's incredibly tiny. It's only 9 pages long, but it's the Luthor and the Waitress. You remember that one?
Yeah.
That is my favorite story.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's because, well, it was a Superman story, but Superman wasn't in it. I always like doing that kind of stuff. And of course, it explored Luthor in a big way. And I had a sequel in mind that I never got to do, which is unfortunate. But,
why? Because you left the book?
Because I left the book.
So there you go. He had a sequel in mind himself, which he never got to do because he left the books. But I wonder if it had anything to do with the kind of story that we did end up seeing when she did return, as you said, when he became president.
Yeah, it would have been interesting because, he left. I think he had plans beyond what he did, but he just kind of left. I don't want to say in a huff, but it was rather sudden, and he kind of left them, and it's just like, okay, Superman kills the Phantom Zone villains, peace.
Yeah, some confusion in the chat room on the comments. That's not Lois. That's just a random waitress that Lex comes across, and it's like an indecent proposal kind of thing that happens there. And it's just a kind of a side story, just kind of show what kind of person Lex Luthor was. And it's an interesting story, and one that sat with a lot of people. A lot of people remember it, and obviously John Byrne remembers it because it was one of his favourites. Alright, well, we're pretty much out of time for this episode of WGBS TV. Want to thank everybody for listening in or watching in this week's episode. A lot of stuff to get through, and really appreciate all the comments and all the eyes that on this week's video. Really cool to have so many people involved in the comments. And I'd like to thank everyone for participating in the comments. And a big thank you to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thank you, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
And a huge thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Tina Murray, Patrick O'Neill, Stephen Wright, and Henry Bernstein. And if you want to sponsor our show and our website as a whole, then please head to patreon.com/Superman homepage, where you too can be a sponsor for as little as $3. So please get involved. The complete 1 hour of tonight's video will remain available as a video on the Superman homepage website and our Facebook page if you'd like to watch it back or perhaps miss part of the show. But we'll be back next week on Tuesday, May 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time for another edition of WGBS TV Live. Look forward to talking with you then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching WGBS TV Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com.